And welcome into Fantasy Baseball Camp. This is episode 6 as we prepare everybody for Fantasy Baseball Week 5. Wes, how you doing tonight? We got Wes, Will, Thomas. We got the whole camp here tonight. Will, how are you over there?
I'm getting my butt kicked this week by Wes, so not doing too great today. We'll see come Sunday, but I got a lot of ground to cover.
And so I think that's everybody. So we'll move. Oh, I'm sorry. Yep. Tommy, go ahead.
Yep. That's everybody. No, I mean, it's been a busy week personally, just everything going on. I feel ill-prepared. I'm normally the one with all the notes and all the numbers and metrics and ready to go, and I'm just going to wing this. I don't know what I'm doing.
So this should be a good episode then. This should be a good episode.
It's raw emotions. Nothing's planned.
Now, Tommy, you're one of the only undefeated teams in our league. How are you looking right now?
Well, not so much. Like, the worst team in the league is about to defeat me. My team decided they had enough. They don't want to be undefeated anymore. So there's still a couple days to go, but it's not looking good. I'm down by like 80 points.
Not the worst team in the league this year, but the worst team in league history.
You're the worst team in the league right here. I forgot about that.
One on the panel doesn't have a win yet.
Yes, I am unfortunately 0-3. Yes.
Sorry, I can't hear you from all the way up top. You're way down there.
At least I have more points scored than ice cold pitchers. At least I have that.
True.
So, all right. So let's get into injuries here. I'm just going to let Tommy handle the top guy on our list here for our notes. Robby Ray.
Yeah, I don't think I'm alone with this. Robby Ray had a flexor strain on his elbow, and they said he's just going to heal. It's been a couple weeks. He reevaluated. He's about to start throwing again. And then out of nowhere, bam, he's having surgery. He's going to be out for the season. I had him on.
Out for the season.
Had him on every league I'm in. Somehow I ended up with him. I didn't even realize that till the injury happened. So hopefully this episode, you guys can tell me what I can pick up or who I can trade for to help replace that hole in my lineups.
No, man, you're undefeated. You'll be fine.
Yeah, maybe not after this week. I lost Springs and Robby Ray already. It's a bad pitching for me.
So the next guy on our list is Yordan Alavarez. He's not necessarily concerned too long-term, but within our league, he is someone who's been in trade talks, I know, from ice cold pitchers who's trying to find himself a starting pitcher. And all of a sudden, Yordan, it's not his hand or his back, it's his neck all of a sudden. So he's been out for, I think, a game or two, but no one's going to want to give up good pitching or a good player for Yordan when you get injury-riddled Yordan. Will, who's this next guy on the list?
Yeah, Kenta Maeda from the Twins. You know, he got lit up, I think, for, 11 hits, 10 runs?
Yeah.
I think the other night, and then now he's having an MRI on his elbow. So just coming back from Tommy John, correct? Like a year or two ago. So now back to the MRI on the elbow. It's not looking good for him.
I didn't know you can get MRIs on Pride.
I found it weird that they pulled him for an injury after the 10 hits and 11 earned runs.
Right.
Yeah. Typically that would happen.
Sometimes that's an indicator of your command's off because you have an injury and you're just playing tough through it. I've seen that several times, though.
Yeah, it's possible. Just saying, from fantasy purposes, I'm sure Coach Ever didn't appreciate that.
Or it's just
I didn't have him, thankfully. Or maybe I did in our other league.
It's a way to save face a little bit. Oh, man, I gave up all those runs and hits because I slipped in the shower earlier today. So, all right, Will, why don't you jump into you since you own the guy after this. How about an injury update on Triston McKenzie?
Yeah, so they said he's made significant progress so far. He had the same type of injury as Robby Ray. Is that right, Tommy? Very similar.
I was wrong. It was a shoulder for Triston McKenzie. It was an elbow for Robby Ray.
Gotcha. Well, he's already thrown from 75 feet with no issues, so he's set to throw a bullpen this week, and they're saying he'll be on track for May 29 return, which is kind of noteworthy in some of the prospect stuff we might talk later. Some guys there for the Indians, but he's only rostered. He's not rostered in 100% of leagues yet, only 89. So it's worth a look, to see if he's there with that good injury news coming back.
Especially with the amount of starting pitching that everybody seems to need. 89% At least 7% there needs to go and pick up Triston McKenzie. So starting pitchers always needed. So last two I've got on our injury notes is Josh Jung. Tommy, what's the latest with Josh Jung? What's going on with him? Is there any worry with him?
No, he just got nicked on the hand. I was watching the start. It was my pitcher, Graham Ashcraft, hit my third baseman, Josh Jung, and I just couldn't help it. Just like, you got to be kidding me. What's going on here? And he stayed in the game. He actually came out like an inning later, X-rays were negative. So I think it's just going to be a bruised hand for a couple of days. Should be fine, so long as the Rangers are telling us everything.
Okay. Yeah, that would be a hit to the Rangers after they waited all year last year for Josh Jung. Josh Young?
Young.
So you don't pronounce the J.
Nope.
Josh Young.
I'm still gonna pronounce it. I'm gonna go with Young.
Young is Y. It starts with a Y, but this is with a J. So moving on. And the last guy who, right before we hit record here, we saw an injury note. Probably the second day in a row, though. Aaron Judge. He slid into third base yesterday, Wednesday, April 26th. And I think he came out of the game. They were concerned. They didn't disclose what was wrong, but he played the next day, coming here Thursday, April 27th. But now the report is he came out for hip discomfort. So who knows if that was from the slide, and that the hip is used for swinging. So I would be concerned as an Aaron Judge owner. Is he going to be out? And if he's not going to be out, is it going to affect his swing? So any other injury reports you guys have that aren't listed here? Anything else you want to bring up there?
Yeah, there's another name that's new. I don't know a lot of information about it. But George Springer apparently had a hand injury. He's probable for tomorrow, so Friday the 28th. I don't think it's anything serious, but he's 100% roster. It's pretty notable, George Springer.
Yeah, you hate to see your elite players with that red cross next to his name. All right, well, let's take us right into our favorite segment of Waiver Wire. Waiver Wire, we're going to help you guys out to find whether you had one of these injured players listed above, you had Robby Ray, and you're trying to scramble to find someone to replace him, or, hey, we're going to name some hot-hitting hitters that you should pick up. So let's jump. Will, how about you for a first Waiver Wire either add, drop? What you got?
Yeah, so I went for the ad with Yusei Kikuchi from the Blue Jays. The main thing with him is the SPRP eligibility. That's extremely rare, and it's rare to find one that's actually productive form-wise in that position. So he's only 79% owned. He's got 3 straight 20-plus point games, 4-0 with a 3 ERA right now. So 90 total points, 15th currently. So, it depends on how deep your league is, potentially. I was able to grab him in a 10-team league like 2 nights ago. But in our 12-team, he's already rostered. So it kind of depends on that, how deep your league is, how many teams are in it. But he's definitely worth a look, especially with the SPRP eligibility. As you well know, you're always taking advantage of that and having success with it. That can be huge to have a guy in that role.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I've got a couple of names listed about the same owned percentage here of relief pitchers. I want you guys to rank them for me. We've got Yusei Kikuchi of Toronto, Oviedo. How do you say his name for Pittsburgh? Johan Oviedo.
Johan Oviedo.
Oviedo for Pittsburgh. Hunter Brown of the Astros and Doval of the Giants. So 2 Sparps and 2 closers. Will, can you rank those 1 through 4 for me?
Yeah, I would definitely go Hunter Brown 1, being on the Astros and the success he's had. I think he's currently sitting top 10 in pitching right now, being on one of the better teams in baseball, doing that well with the SPRP eligibility. I put him 1, you say 2, and probably Oviedo 3. The Pirates are doing well right now. Will it last? You don't know. And then I don't remember what the last one was. Doval, probably 4th for him.
From the Giants, the closer for the Giants.
Yeah, I'd have him 4th out of those. Maybe.
Okay, so you went Sparp heavy there then.
Yeah. If they're productive, I think that's essential to have if you can get it.
That's guaranteed points if they're getting a start with a Sparp.
Yeah.
Or a closer, you never know if he's going to get a save.
True.
So Wes, where's your ranking of you say no, and then the next guy, Oviedo, Brown, and Doval.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with Will on Hunter Brown, number one. Sparp eligible, pitches for the Astros. He's been really good. The conversation so far have looked like he might retain his spot in the rotation, but he also might be the odd man out once McCullers comes back. But for the time being, I still rank him one. I'm going to go Oviedo, number two. The Pirates, look, man, they've been the best team in baseball so far. They're a surprise of the season.
They just beat the Dodgers today. They just shut the Dodgers down.
Yeah, and I put Urias on the bench, thankfully, for that one. But I'm going to go Kikuchi 3 and then Doval 4. I don't put much stock in relievers because they're volatile and you just don't know when you're going to get point opportunities with them. And I know when a Sparp is going to start, so I can kind of plan ahead depending on the who they're facing in the week.
Yeah, I think it's like you said, count on that Sparp. You know you're going to get points from him. I think unless you have a closer that's on a good team who is probably guaranteed at least 2 saves in the week, you almost might take the Sparp on the bad team over a closer on a good team. I'm sorry, a closer on a bad team.
Right.
So,
yeah, and I would say the way Urquidy is pitched for the Astros, it's looking like he could get the boot if someone does. If he keeps trending this way, he's been pitching pretty bad. He's been getting shelled, and if Hunter Brown, keeps trending like that, and Urquidy that way, I don't know how you could give him the boot.
Are you talking
who's
about
the Ash?
Urquidy?
Urquidy, yeah.
Urquidy.
Urquidy.
Same thing.
On my other team, he's getting negative points every start. So
yeah, he's not worth rostering right now.
All right, Tommy, your ranks of those 4.
Quickly.
2 Sparps and 2 relievers.
Yeah, Hunter Brown has been great. Oviedo has been unexpected, but I'll ride it while it's hot. And I'm going to go Camilo Doval. I switched up a little bit. He throws electric stuff. He's just so fast.
He's good.
The points are a little, it's going to be hit or miss, but I think the Giants are going to win enough games to where it's worth it. And I just have zero faith in Yusei Kikuchi. He's been hit or miss up and down every year with Seattle. Now it's Toronto. He doesn't really have any stuff. He's been able to get some strikeouts and avoid walks, but he's just getting hit hard. His expected numbers are a lot worse than his actual numbers, so I think he's got some regression coming too.
Yusei is one of those roller coaster guys where he will ride at high strikeouts, and then there's negative 11 starts from him.
Yeah, so on that note, Sparp, everybody harps about him. And if you've got a good Sparp, like a Spencer Strider, you're starting every week. Yeah. There's no question about it. But the guy who's questionable, like Yusei Kikuchi, you typically get 1 start out of him on every 4th, 5th week. You get 2 starts. If he doesn't perform well, you may get a 4, 5, 6 point day or a negative 5 point day, and that's it for the week. Where with a closer, typically they're reliable. Typically they're not going to blow up on you. You may get 10, you may get 20, you may have a 40-point week, but I'd rather have the floor of a reliable closer than a ceiling of a iffy Sparp.
I'm glad you brought that up, Tommy. I'll echo that. I would rather have a reliable closer than a questionable Sparp, right? Like, I'm not going to go out of my way to go pick up a Sparp just because they have a 2-start week, even and sit, Josh Hader that week. I would rather have a reliable closer, especially in situations where those matchups aren't great for that Sparp.
Yeah, I want to agree with Tommy's ranking of Hunter Brown, the closer for the Pirates, the best team in the National League, Doval and Kikuchi. And only because I say Kikuchi because I've owned him in the past so recently, and he's just been a letdown for me.
The closer for the Pirates is David Bednar. Oviedo is a starting pitcher now, a converted relief pitcher.
So, but the Kikuchi ad, if those 3 guys other guys that we listed in that ranking are probably all owned. Doval might not be owned. So you can take your pick. Kikuchi is suddenly a sparp, a starter in the past who hit some time in the bullpen. Is hot right now. So watch those matchups, and Kikuchi could give you great value out of the relief pitcher role. So all right, let's move west. How about you for a waiver wire pick?
I'm gonna give you two real quick. So the first one I'm gonna give you is Matt Strahm with the Phillies. He's currently 32% owned. Didn't really see him with the roster spot on the starting rotation coming out of camp, but he's actually been pretty good this year. So he's made 5 starts. He hasn't gone more than 5 1/3. Today he went 5 1/3, 3 hits, 3 earned runs, but he struck out 11. So he's only had one start where it wasn't great. He went 2 2/3, with giving up 3. The one thing I guess concerns me is he hasn't pitched. He hasn't gone past 5 innings. The Phillies haven't let him go past 5 innings. In his third start, he went 5 innings and gave up 4 hits, and he only threw 59 pitches. He scored 20 points, and they pulled him. So if the Phillies allow him to kind of grow, I think he might be a great pickup. He is SPARP eligible, and I would definitely look to pick him up for next week because he's pitched really well recently. The second one is going to be AJ Puck. If you need a reliever, he's getting most, if not all, the opportunities for the Marlins. He's currently 67% rostered. He's one of the hottest pickups on the market right now. So he's pitched really well.
Yeah, I definitely saw it with Strahm. Another sparp. Actually, he's just relief pitcher eligible at this point. Only 32% owned in leagues. So this guy's probably available in your league. He's started 4 games, 3 ERA, and has more than a strikeout per inning, and only 7 walks. So great pick there. I agree with you, Wes. That's someone I would be eyeing as well. Especially you need starting pitching help. Strahm was a top Brewers prospect.
Yeah, he
or was
was
it
with
Padres?
the Brewers,
And then
I think he was with the Brewers, and then he got traded to the Padres. He didn't get a chance with the Brewers. He got traded to the Padres, and that was his first opportunity to start in the big leagues.
It was Strahm and Burns, I want to say,
Yeah.
that came up together. And you see who worked out more on the better because he's still with the Brewers. All right. So I see with Strahm is only 32% owned. You mentioned AJ Puck, 67% owned. Who would you rather own at this point, Strahm or Puck? A straight closer or a high strikeout relief pitcher, starter?
That's probably going to depend on preference. I would probably rather have Puck. I think he's more reliable right now. If I see that the Phillies are going to allow Strahm to go 6-7 innings, then I would rather have Strahm, but they just haven't let him do that yet.
Right. Yeah. You're not getting that quality start, that 3 points from quality start. You're not getting more points from more innings, so that's tough. AJ Puck, if he gets a save, it's an automatic 10 points.
Exactly.
Another guy listed right next to them in ownership is Tanner Howick. Would you rather own Howick than Puck or Strahm?
I'm going to go with the homer pick and say, yeah, because I did pick Howick as a breakout candidate.
All right.
For Howick, I think I think the Red Sox are going to allow him just to kind of go, but he's had like one bad inning in each start. If he can mitigate that, I think I would rather have Howick.
Tommy, same thing. Would you rather have Howick over Strahm or Puck?
Yeah, my order would be Howick, Strahm, Puck. I don't trust the Marlins to give AJ Puck enough saves, even though I think he's the best pitcher out of the 3. Strahm hasn't got the leash to go all the way yet, and Howick. The Red Sox sent down Brian Bayo at Bayo, and they've got a 6, 7, maybe 8-man rotation coming up. So there's a crunch, and Howick was one of the favorites to go to the bullpen. He hasn't gone to the bullpen yet. They optioned Bayo down. They basically told him, you're pitching well, you can have it. So until the Red Sox, same thing we said about Volpe. Until the Red Sox give up on Howick, I'm not going to give up on Houck because his slider is disgusting. He's got some command issues. He's working on it, but I think he's the best out of those three with the most certainty for a job today. We could record the next episode and I could change my thought, but today that's the thought.
He's
The one piece on Bayo, I saw that he was demoted, but he didn't leave the team. So it was basically like a paper transaction. So I'm not sure where that lands. I'm still looking to see what the Red Sox do, but that was interesting to me.
Yeah, they're going to give it one more turn in the rotation. Paxton's coming back soon. They've got some guys who've been horrible. Kluber was horrible the first 3 starts. He had a good one. And I don't think they're not going to get rid of Kluber. They paid him $10 million for a year, and that sends a horrible message to any veteran coming over there. So no one's going to sign with the Red Sox if after 4 starts you're gone. So he's got his job for a while. So there's a crunch in the back end of that. And I think for now, Houck's got that job.
Well, that's tough because the Red Sox are at 500. They're scoring a lot of runs. So they're not a bad offensive team to show like, hey, guys, come play with us. We are winning. We're here to win. They just can't prevent runs right now.
The starting pitching is single-handedly giving away games. The bullpen's been great. We're scoring runs. But the bullpen, the starting pitching is we'd be 700%, 800% winning team if it wasn't for horrible starting pitching right now.
The Red Sox have scored the 3rd most runs in the majors, but they've given up the 2nd most runs. I've seen that 3rd most runs. So 3rd most scored and 3rd most given up.
And I bet 80% of that 3rd most is the starters.
Yeah. Can't win ball games if you don't have guys who can go lengths. So, all right. Good waiver wire I've got listed here. Bryson Stott. Bryson Stott is only rostered in 71% of leagues. He was a top prospect for Phillies last year, came up pretty quick, young, and platooned a good bit. But now he's off that platoon, and he's been given the starting role at second base. Now that Trey Turner's there, the guy is off to a blistering 343 batting average, 2 home runs, 3 stolen bases. So he's hitting for average. He's getting on base. His on base percentage 365. So he's not going to hit for power, but he's going to get you a steady amount of points. Who knows? The Phillies aren't even playing good ball, but if the Phillies start taking off like we all expect them to, probably, and the objections there, the Phillies should be playing better ball. I would expect that the Phillies leadoff hitter would start scoring more points.
Let me ask you a question, Michael. Who would you rather have? Is Bryson Stott or his teammate Brandon Marsh, who's also been surprisingly just as hot?
I don't trust Brandon Marsh's track record. He played with the Angels for how long? And the Angels, he was touted there. I feel like Brent Marsh has got to fall back to earth, but he's got power. That's the only thing that adds to his profile that Stott doesn't. But again, Stott's young, 25 years old, 200 pounds. Maybe he finds his power stroke next year. I still like it. It depends on what you need, I guess, because he's an outfielder. This is a second base shortstop. If you need a second baseman or even a shortstop, if you had Corey Seager injured, Stott could be a great fill-in. But yeah, I saw that too, Tommy, of Brandon Marsh, who usually doesn't have those kind of numbers, taking off. Let's see what Marsh's numbers. He's hitting 351, 435. So same average and on base, but his slugging is 703. He's got 4 home runs. So similar numbers, but with power. So at that point, if you need a utility, at this point you got to ride the hot Brandon Marsh, who's going to give you probably a little bit, 5 more points because of that home run potential. All right, Tommy, did you give a waiver wire addition here, a waiver wire thought?
No, I'm going to give you a combo deal. It's a 2-for-1.
Of course.
Because pitching's been so hard to come by. 2 players in the same team, same position, in the same status. They're both rookies making their first start. Tanner Bibee and Logan Taylor Allen. Not to be confused with Logan Allen from the Orioles from last year. That guy's trash. They're both 49% rostered. I mean, I can't make this stuff up. They're echoing everything. They're both 49% rostered. They both threw 6 innings and 5.2 innings. They both had 8 strikeouts in their debut. Their whips are both sitting around 1. They were fantastic. I didn't get a chance to watch Logan Taylor, but his stat line was good. I actually picked him up speculatively. I did get to watch Tanner Bibee. He was amazing. I mean, amazing.
Who do you not pick up speculatively, though, Tommy?
I tell you, I lose all my pitchers.
Mr. Speculative. Mr. Speculative.
So if I had the chance to pick up one, it'd be Tanner Bibee. But if you got an opportunity to pick up both, I would. They're not both going to stay in the rotation long term. So if you can have both, see who gets the job. I think those guys are going to be special. Cleveland is a pitching factory.
Man.
So I got two notes.
Tanner Bibee looked really good.
Yeah.
I wonder, Tanner Bibee was just breaking off a lot of curves. I think the better pitcher of the two that you listed there isn't even one of those two. It's Gavin Williams. And I think that's who Cleveland wants at the major league level. They just had to go through the pecking order. Gavin Williams destroyed AA. He started there again this year. And that's, I think, if you had to pick one of the three, I'd pick Gavin Williams. Tanner Bibee, I think he could be optioned back down. Because there was a conversation on Twitter today I was reading through that someone believed that Mackenzie Gore was a safer job pick, like a safer player to pick up than Bibee, even though Bibee looks better, because you never know when Bibee's going to get optioned back down, where Gore has his role.
I would agree with that. I mean, job security, right? Like, the Nationals have nothing to lose. Mackenzie Gore has proven everything he needs to, so obviously he's in the MLB, where Bibee might still have some seasoning left.
But I think the upside is better with Bibee, where Gore's going to walk 4 guys every start. You never know what that's going to turn into.
I mean, that's fair, but Gore's been pretty good the last 2 starts.
Yeah, Coach Aver and I were talking about him earlier today.
He'll go 4 walks, 2 walks, 4 walks, 4 walks, 2 walks.
Exactly.
Yeah. But he strikes out
his
10.
score. His score. If he can get only 2 walks, I think he scores 20 plus points. If he has 4 walks, it's like 10.
Yeah. Dude, could you imagine the Cleveland rotation? So Bibee, Gavin Williams, if Espino can stay healthy, man.
When's he due back?
Well, he had a setback. They put him back on the shelf.
Is he out pretty much
same shoulder?
September.
Yeah, it's going to be. I don't know if they gave a timetable. If they did, I didn't find it, but it's going to be some months. And there's one other guy that I'm not telling you guys about that.
Looking to Google.
He's looking to Google. All right, I know here another guy Will and I talked about, and that Will actually picked up Harold Ramirez. Will, you want to dig into Harold Ramirez?
Yeah, so they obviously the Rays are one of the hottest teams in baseball right now, and they were, I messed up. Similar to you with Kelenic, dropping him early. I dropped Yandy Diaz very early, and he's figured it out. That's what they talked about with him was the launch angle. If he could figure that out, he could probably take a leap from a fantasy perspective. And they said Harold Ramirez is doing the same thing. He was a guy that was hitting for a good average, just didn't have the launch angle last year. And they said, he's starting to figure that out. He's already at 5 home runs this year, batting .354, whereas last year he finished with 6 home runs in 120 games. So it sounds like those 2 guys are figuring it out from the launch angle perspective.
And getting playing time.
Yeah, that's a big thing too, is getting the playing time and the bats. So I think he's worth a look. He's got first base and outfield eligibility. So if you're weak on either one of those or got a spot, it may not be a bad idea with one of the best teams in baseball.
Yeah, speaking of first base, I highlighted and looked at Rowdy Tellez. The guy has a slugging percentage of nearly 600 against right-handed pitchers. Against left-handed pitchers, he's slugging 364. And actually, he has 8 total home runs. 7 of them are against right-handed pitchers. And he has 11 at-bats against left-handed pitchers and only 1 hit. And it's a home run.
That came like.
And that actually happened. That happened like yesterday. Yeah. Before that, he was hitless against left-handed pitchers. So Rowdy Tellez, great source of power. He looks. He's walking just about half the amount of times he's striking out. But don't play him against lefties. Look at that schedule. Look at that matchup. And if there's 2 lefties on that schedule, find a different first baseman. So, all right. Any other last waiver wire additions, guys, before we wrap up waiver wires?
I got one more I wanna mention. Brian De La Cruz with the Marlins. Coming into this season, it was between him and Jesus Sanchez and who they were going to give the better side of a platoon. So far, it looks like De La Cruz has kind of won that battle. He's 34% owned. He scored 21 points last week. He's only 26, and like he's right around 600 at bats in the big leagues. But it looks like he's starting to figure it out, and the Marlins are starting to trust him. They're giving him more playing time. So I wouldn't necessarily pick him up right now, but he's definitely a person I would keep an eye on over the next week
on your scout team.
The scout team type guy.
You use scout team, right?
I do.
Okay, I thought last time we talked, you're like, no, I don't use that.
Yeah, I use it for the guys that I want to keep track of that they're probably so far off that I just don't. It's not in the front of mind. So like a guy that is maybe coming back from injury in 2 months or something like that.
Yeah.
I put those guys on my scout team. That way I can get notifications when, hey, by the way, Bryce Harper's coming back next week.
Ooh. So with that, Tommy, you want to wrap us up and give us one more quick waiver wire?
Yeah, I won't go into detail about him, but I'm going to give you the guy who, when I look at him, he looks like he should be playing hockey. When I see his name, it looks like it's a hockey name. Jack Sawinski. He's been really good. I didn't really know much about him until the season started. I don't think he's a must start, and you put him on your bench. That's fine. Hitting 278, 406, 630. Those are all really good numbers, but I don't know if he has a track record. Was he a prospect? Did he have any pedigree? Yeah, so I think he's just a hot starter. Ride the hot hand while you can. If more of a deeper league play, I would say.
Okay, yeah, and we'll get into that a lot more with these deeper type of guys with prospects too on our next episode. Be on the lookout for that, of prospects that are coming here to impact or who we think are just the best prospects. And look out for then Worryometer. That's coming up too in future episodes. Any last words, guys, for episode 6 and week 5 preparation? All good. All right. Well, I'll close this out then. And hit us up if you have waiver wire considerations. Hey, I'm considering dropping this guy. Would you drop this guy to add this guy? We are here to help for that. That's the most fun thing. We'll probably get into some of that too in future waiver wire episodes. But I'm Michael. We got the whole camp here. Will, Wes, and Tommy. You can find us all BNB_our name on Instagram. I'm sure Twitter's about to start getting more active as we're all discovering all the different fantasy folks on Twitter. So this has been episode 5, week 5, fantasy baseball prep. We'll catch you guys next week.